Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean, and this is the second part of my breakdown for the Andre Ward Sergey Kovalev rematch. I did the one for mindsets. Now I'm going to focus on the styles of the two. Shout out one of my subscribers, Nabos 2003. Was it 2003 or 2001? I think it's 2003. Forgive me, mate, if I've got it wrong by a couple of years. I don't think I have. But anyway, yeah, top bloke always leaves good comments on my videos. He said yesterday, talking about on the first video, that he thinks that Andre Ward's going to win, and he thinks he can only get better in the rematch. Now, I'm not necessarily convinced about that. I think personally Andre Ward fought very, very well in the first fight. I mean, I did have Sergey Kovalev winning, but I thought Ward did very well. I mean, we'll get into that later on. It's possible, but I'm not really convinced that he can. All right, well, let's start with a sort of basic breakdown of how I see their styles with regards to each other, how they clash, because obviously we've seen them fight now once, so we've got a bit more of an idea. Both of them, in my opinion, control the range very well. Now, Sergey Kovalev does it with, he's got very good footwork, but very subtle footwork. You know, his little step, he just sort of step back, little half step back. His judgment of distance is good, his timing is good. He's obviously got long arms, very good straight punches, and he's got a lot of meat behind him, so that makes people hesitant. And he does throw those good straight punches, and he knows exactly when to just take a little step back to get himself out of harm's way. Little side steps as well. And he's got a very kind of sneaky way of just sort of shifting his body to one way that you're not entirely sure which trajectory it's coming from. So he does that very well as well, and that was something that Andre Ward struggled with, particularly early on in the fight when he was full of energy. Andre Ward, he also controls distance very well. He does it by, he's got quite a good range of positions that he can be in. Now, he can sort of be quite far back, and then he can come in quite quickly. He comes in with like lead hooks, very quick jabs. He actually didn't manage to do that very well in this fight. I think that's down to Sergey Kovalev's control of the distance. But he can do that, and he can keep himself out of harm's way quite well, but then close that distance quite quickly. He has very good reflexes. He's also able to fight very well on the inside, or at least smother you and kind of rough you up a bit on the inside. I remember watching Carl Froch interview once, and he was talking about Andre Ward. He was saying that it's very frustrating fighting him because he's either out of range where you can't get him, or he's like on your chest and you can't hit him properly either. So he said after the fight, he didn't really feel like he'd been in a fight. He said normally his hands hurt where he's been hitting people, and he said he didn't really feel that. He said he couldn't just never really get to grips with him. And to a certain extent, Kovalev went through the same thing. Obviously not as much as Carl Froch, because Andre Ward clearly won that fight, but he wasn't 100% able to sort of dictate totally the pace of the fight. And Andre Ward did a good job of basically just shifting up the distance and the range, ducking in low, coming in. He found it quite difficult to deal with that. So that's something that they both do pretty well. That's why I thought, to be honest, in the first fight, that's why I predicted that Sergey Kovalev would win on points in a kind of quite close decision, which, in my opinion, is what happened. So going into the next one, it's difficult to really predict, but I kind of see it probably go in a similar fashion, to be honest. I think that Kovalev needs to basically not be as predictable in terms of just coming straight in, chasing Andre all the time. Because he started off quite patient, quite measured. At the end, not the end, but then he started to kind of chase him around the ring a bit too much, instead of just varying it up. I think he should be there, but not always just constantly going forward. Just just this little step back. I'm not saying he needs to go on the back foot, but when he was doing that, and when he was sort of landing those long punches, and then just kind of little step back, little step to the side, Andre Ward found it very, very difficult to deal with that. When Andre Ward started to have more success is when he kind of abandoned that and he was just pretty much trudging forward. Not for all the fight, but at times. And that's when, they were probably, I don't know, I suppose from round 6 possibly, but definitely like sort of 7, 8, 9. There about like 3 rounds in a row where Andre Ward like won all of them, and that was like so Kovalev just kind of abandoned that, and he was just kind of following him around, and then Ward was really like controlling the range. Now Andre Ward's got a disadvantage in terms of reach. Sergey Kovalev has longer arms, but Andre Ward has better reflexes. So if he can get the timing, and if Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev gets into a kind of predictable pattern, then he was winning those rounds. He was basically standing quite close to him and just reacting, counter punching him, but kind of on the front foot, and that's when he had the most success, at least in my eyes. Those were the rounds that I would give to Andre Ward, definitely. I mean, there were obviously like a couple of other rounds as well, but those ones I would say he won clearly, like sort of 7, 8, from what I can remember, in the middle. And he was just sort of standing in front of Sergey Kovalev. I suppose you could say he kind of did slow down a little bit, and Andre Ward stepped on the gas a little bit, but that's what Andre Ward needs to do. If you're sort of too far away from him, then I think Sergey Kovalev, he's got very good timing, and he's got those very good straight punches, and he's got a good boxing brain as well. So Andre Ward can't really afford to be too much on the back foot doing what he was doing for lots of it, because that's why I was giving a lot of those rounds to Sergey Kovalev, because Andre Ward was just basically on the back foot. Not that much was happening because Andre Ward was basically avoiding like any exchanges, and Sergey Kovalev was just winning by landing like a few more, quite a few more punches, but just chasing him down, getting him with a jab. I think Andre Ward needs to win the fight. He needs to basically be a bit closer to him. It's dangerous, but he needs to rely on it in his reflexes, and that's for me the big advantage that he has. In terms of on the inside, Sergey Kovalev, he did quite well at sort of nullifying, for the most part, Andre Ward's kind of mauling and roughhouse tactics. One thing that Andre Ward did, that Sergey Kovalev really struggled with Andre Ward, is when he just sort of ducks down, because Andre Ward, he's very agile like that, and he's got. To be honest, I quite like that sort of posture he has, where he kind of sort of leans slightly back into the side, and he's there, he's just sort of ready to pounce. So when Kovalev come in with straight punches, he can just kind of duck under it. And even when he wasn't sort of ducking in to like attack him, just a sort of defensive measure, it was difficult for Kovalev to deal with that. So I think he needs to really try and land a few more uppercuts and hooks in this fight. Because quite often, those punches just go over his head and he duck down, and then Ward would try and like kind of maul him a little bit. And I think Kovalev did quite well a job of, to sort of, supposed to sort of flip Andre Ward's kind of argument on it. He sort of bullied the bully, so to speak, on the inside. Because Ward likes to kind of bully his opponent. You could see him do that with people like Carl Froch. I mean, Carl Froch is strong. He's strong, and he's quite a physical fighter. But Andre Ward was able to maul him, push him back, and kind of out-muscle him, really, and basically bully him on the inside. Now, Sergey Kovalev didn't let that happen. He'd just get him at times. He'd literally just sort of slam him into the corner, or he'd just like push him around, get him in a headlock, which obviously, you can't really do. But there's a few, a couple of them where they're both landing rabbit punches, a couple of low blows here and there. He was a little bit scrappy in there, which, we know that Andre Ward likes to fight like that sometimes. I think Kovalev did quite a good job of preventing him, but at the same time that probably did tire him out a lot, because Andre Ward is physically very fit. We've seen him do 12 rounds quite, I wouldn't say like in high-paced intensity, because that's not really his style, but maintaining the same strength, maintaining the same intensity that he has in the early rounds, and he can mix it up quite well, Andre Ward. Whereas Sergey Kovalev, now it's not the first time he's sort of faded a little bit in the second half of the fight. So that wrestling he did against Andre Ward, it kind of worked quite well in a bit, but I reckon it probably did have an effect on him slowing down a little bit. So yeah, in terms of like obviously we know Sergey Kovalev is like a harder puncher, but that doesn't mean that Andre Ward can't hurt him at all. This idea that he's just going to sort of like just walk straight through him, and like he doesn't, hits like a girl and all that. Yeah, I mean, we saw Andre Ward land some pretty decent punches. Not great punches that were, really doing him damage. But if Sergey Kovalev just abandons the kind of calculated aggression that has got him to where he's got, he could get himself in trouble. Do you know what I mean? Andre Ward, he can afford to take a few chances. Don't get me wrong. Andre Ward is not Adonis Stevenson. Do you know what I mean? If he was going in there really angry, he could get himself sparked out early doors. That's not going to happen. He's not going to get, walk onto some massive punch. But at the same time, if he does get too reckless, and he's going to walk onto some big punch, even if they don't knock him out or they don't really do that much damage, they're going to be a lot better on the scorecards. Because for me, one of the reasons why I was giving, some of the sort of closest rounds of comedy, he was landing better punches. I mean, Ward is cautious, but can be quite cautious. After that second round, he got knocked down. He was very cautious for that. He didn't really want to do any more exchanges. He engaged on his own terms, and he has the ability to do that. So there were times when he took advantage and he landed some good punches, but for the most part, he wasn't really looking to get in there and really have a firefight for obvious reasons. But if Sergey Kovalev does go in there with just zero respect and too emotional, he could definitely get himself in trouble. And as much as anything else, if you're just sort of swinging big punches at people and missing, it's very, very tiring. Now, he didn't do that in the first fight. He went in there and he knocked him down, but that was it was a strange one, really. He kind of got him with he didn't get him with the two good knuckles, and it wasn't like an extended hard punch. It was more like I don't really know how to describe it. It was like a sort of a cat, sort of slapping a mouse. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a slap, but it wasn't a full extended two good knuckles, boom. So that was the punch that Andre Ward kind of walked into that with an exchange, and then after that he did slightly go into him a little bit, but he didn't really, go all guns blazing. And I don't think that's what he should do in this. I don't think he will do either. It's difficult to tell because obviously he's talking pretty reckless. He's talking, a lot of the stuff he's saying, it sounds a bit silly, to be honest. But I don't think he's going to go in there just thinking that he's just going to just steamroll through Andre Ward, as if he's just some nutcase. I think he's going to go in there calculated and really try and land some big punches, but maintaining his distance, maintaining his composure. If he does that, then I give him the edge in the fight. This thing about him being angry and too angry and stuff like that. Now, I do agree that in some cases, or a lot of cases, that can work against you. But, we have to remember that not everybody is the same. Do you know what I mean? Just because most people act one way or react to a certain thing a certain way, that doesn't mean everybody does. Now, some people can basically channel that anger and that sense of, what he perceives to be injustice and use that in their favour. Now, he's quite a kind of, normally in the ring, and we've always seen him in the ring being quite a calculated customer. Now, he's talked a lot of, he's made a lot of, people call excuses, and yeah, he's said a lot of stuff I wouldn't have really said, and he's come across a bit, I heard someone use the word immature, and I would agree with that. But I don't think that when it gets to the ring, that's how he's going to behave. I think he's going to do it calculated, and I think he's going to keep his composure. I think from Andre Ward's point of view, in terms of whether he can do better this time, I'm not really sure. I had Kovalev win in the first fight, but I do think Andre Ward was very, very good in that. Now, he didn't, I don't think he particularly started badly. I think Kovalev was full steam ahead. He had that advantage in reach, and he's very good at that. And that's why, in my prediction before the fight, I didn't think that Andre Ward was going to be able to deal with that. So that was definitely the case for the first, 4 or 5 rounds, at least, possibly that I can't remember. But the first part of the fight, he was using that range, and he was quick on his feet, and he was just in and out, in and out. If he needed to take a step back, dipping down, changing the angle, keeping Ward guessing, keeping a lot of pressure on him. Andre Ward obviously got knocked down. He did quite well to keep his composure and not get disheartened. And he did well to kind of stay out of trouble and edge his way back into it. But I'm not convinced that Andre Ward can do. Of course, he can do a bit better, but I think he basically avoided that big right hand for the rest of the fight. He didn't really get into any exchanges. He used his advantage in reflexes. He tried to use his inside game quite well, but Kovalev stopped him from doing it. He tried to use it when he kind of leaps in. He's quite good at sort of leaping in with hooks, like lead hooks or strong jabs. He wasn't really able to do that because Kovalev, as I say, he controls the distance very well. So he kind of took that away from him. So what can he do? I mean, he can do what he did this time, but do more of it and win the fight in some people's eyes more convincingly, or in other people's eyes for the first time. But I don't really see that there's that much different he can do. Because people say, oh, well, there's the 12th round, and now we're just going to carry on from there. It doesn't really work like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they've both been in with each other, so they kind of know a bit more what to expect. But they're going in for the first round. They're both fresh. They're not tired mentally. They're not, well, they kind of are expecting stuff, but it's not the same thing. So you're going to start again at a different pace. And with a slightly different rhythm. I think Kovalev needs to start fast. I think Andre Ward needs to be very wary in the first few rounds, especially. But yeah, I mean, I see it being quite similar to the first one. I mean, Andre Ward, he's not easy to knock him out. I mean, he's never been knocked out. He got knocked down, but he's very good at defending himself. I mean, he's elusive. He's got very good reflexes. He's quite defensively minded. He's physically quite strong, so he can get in on the inside and kind of smother you and stop you really doing too much work. He's obviously tough. He's got a good chin. He's got a good will to win, and he's got a good brain. So I think it's going to be very difficult for Sergey Kovalev to just go and do a demolition job on him. I think people are getting a bit carried away when they say that. He might go in there and be a bit more convincing in terms of landing some good punches, but I don't know. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't put money on Andre Ward getting knocked out. I mean, I wouldn't write it off, but in my opinion, I think it's more likely that we have another 12-round fight. Yeah, when I make a prediction near the time, possibly going to do, if we can sort it out, get Sean on and get MBT Boxing from Australia on to do one together. But yeah, we'll look into that, but that's hopefully what we're going to try and do. But yeah, let me know what you think about this Styles going into this one. Thank you very much for watching.